This is Wanda the Wagon, and today we will be cutting out a square from the roof. And so I went to a steel mill, and this is 16 gauge hot rolled steel, 35 inches by 35 inches. And the process is going to be that we put butyl tape along the edges, then we will be putting the steel down. After that, we will be putting in screws and then covering all the screw heads with lap sealant, and then also along the edges. We'll show that process along with the lap sealant and the Dacor butyl tape, and that will be what we're doing for our bus hatch. It started leaking, but this will be the exact same process for a roof vent fan. So then we are also going to cut a smaller little square in the middle for when we're ready for our event. This is the butyl tape and this is the lap sealant. We will be pilot holing here, 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 and here in all four corners to help us with the jigsaw for the turns. And we also have ourselves a pack of scroll cut wood jigsaw blades and then metal ones as well. For diversity, we have both of them, and these are the products we've used. So we're up here on the van, and these are all the tools that we have. Right now we're working on taking off the old material from our bus hatch. It looks like a caulk material. You can see here in the corner that it's starting to separate, and we're going to use a flathead to pry it apart and then look at all the screws and unscrew them. And you can say hi to Betsy over there. She's crying, and then that's our truck over there. All right, let's get this going.
So we are discovering that the entire hatch was falling apart. This plastic coming up, that's part of the hatch.
It's all original. The screws are even coming out. They're not mounted well.
They're just ripping right out, which is not exactly what they're supposed to do. Everything in here looks really bad. Our leak could have been a lot worse.
Oh shit. We'll be drilling the first hole. Ready?
Ready?
And go. Alrighty, there she is.
We also found out that this is already insulated with some fiberglass, which we will be removing.
Yes, the only bad news though is that it's really falling apart and it's kind of wet, so we will probably have to replace it and definitely will have to seal it.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the roof has black paint on it that's rough.
Yeah, it's like a matte black. And we
Not
got
really
up.
quite sure why he did that.
Yeah. When we got up here earlier, there was a big difference between the temperature of this and the temperature of this.
All right, you ready passing the jigsaw?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so what we have here is this wood became really molded from the water, and you can tell by when you press on it, you can see like the liquid coming out of it, and it's also very soft and brittle. So what we're going to do to amend this issue is rip out a lot of the insulation, a lot of this fiberglass, and then replace it. For the fiber, the other fiberglass that's in between these two layers. So there's two layers of insulation. There is the actual fiberglass, and then there's this like the in-home insulation. Now we're gonna have to do some research on what to do, because we obviously can't just leave that in there, otherwise it'll mold. And we just discovered this problem today, so we're gonna have to fix that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure.
That you definitely want to get more than one opinion on anything. Like when I was thinking about replacing my transmission fluids, I was seeing a lot of different contradictory information, and just so find multiple resources on one thing, and then you'll be able to come up with a more informed decision.
Oh yeah, you definitely always want to use more than one resource.
Yes, especially when you're cutting a hole into your roof that you cannot take back from.
Yeah, and just because something works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we thought we would end up with a very different van. things change for us. Will continue to change for us, but we know this much for sure. We decided for a sheep wool insulation, and we're gonna have an entire video discussing insulation and why we chose our insulation versus polyiso. A lot of people use polyiso, and it'll go more in depth of like different decisions that we made for our build. This is Juan of the Wagon, and here is our hole in our roof. It's been a few days, and it also has rained. So as a suggestion, what we did is we put a tarp, and then we put the seal, and then on the other side we had 2 garbage bags with tape, and I do not regret it at all, because we had this huge gigantic fucking bubble that looked like it was about to burst. And what we did is we like gurneyed it and like continuously dumped it to prevent the water from actually entering. Our mattress did get a little bit wet. It was unpredicted. We got towed away, so we weren't able to do it, but now we're here in the luxury Home Depot parking lot. And so we actually developed a little bit of rust on this steel. We actually didn't read about that problem. So what our plan is to do is to take the butyl tape, we already cleaned it with isopropyl, and some napkins from McDonald's. We are going to put a spray to prevent it from corroding again. And the corrosion was only where that water was like protruding a little bit from the tarp. But always, always, always put a tarp. Save yourself the headache. It wasn't supposed to rain. It rained, so we were SOL, and here we are now. And wish us luck drying our mattress. So let's do this. Okay. Only to find the ends. You really want to make sure to take your time putting this stuff down. We got extra. We got like 25 feet of this crap. Where's my keys on? Oh, keep passing. And we will definitely tell the story of how and why we were towed at another point.
Oh yeah, that's a
really
story.
Good story.
It is indeed a story.
Yes, and how if we ever return to that location, we will be arrested for trespassing. So, there we are with that. And that is actually not clickbait. We were told directly, verbatim, from a police officer that we are banned from property. So.
I would also like to mention we didn't do anything illegal.
No, we did not do anything illegal. We were there. Shit. Broken down. And we have the right to freedom of speech. So, basically, if they didn't say that we were banned from property and that if we came back we'd be trespassing, we have the right to say what we want to say now. We're not there at the property, nor will we ever be going back, because we obviously don't want to be arrested. Oop. And I honestly don't even know how they would get us on trespassing, but that's another story. And maybe one day we'll be able to afford ourselves a nice little drone.
Oh yeah, so I don't have to stand on the roof to film.
But until then, I mentioned in another video, we actually already had a pre-existing hole in our roof for the bus hatch. We just cut it a little more because we noticed that there was the leaking, and we thought that if we cut a little more, that it would help out. And then also another thing too is we had to cut it out. The bus hatch wouldn't just come out on its own. It was too old. The nice stuff about this putty though is that you get a chance to lay it down more than once. And it's forgiving. It's very forgiving.
You can actually see the bus hatch inside the van from where we are, because we don't know where to throw it out yet.
We're gonna switch sides here. Scoochie's gonna probably have to buy another sheet of metal for the inside of the van, because we can't just have that fiberglass in the van. The nice thing about the Max Air fan is it's gonna come with like a frame, and we'll show you what we end up doing with that too. But this is definitely by far the most important. So now we can just go ahead and peel this up by the corners.
You want me to do the ones over here?
Yeah, go ahead and do those. We'll cut the video here and then we'll show when we're done.
Alrighty. That way I can use both my hands.
Alright, so we've cut out all the bullshit, and now we're gonna put the sheet metal directly on it. Because our roof doesn't have any ridges like we discussed before, we're not gonna put multiple layers of this stuff. We also have the lap sealant, which is gonna help, and then we're gonna do return a bond. Alright, so we'll cut the film here, and then we'll pour the rest.
Yeah, can't afford a cameraman, so I need to use my hands.
We're never gonna pay for a cameraman.
It was a joke.
Okay, so we marked out where the putty is. It's very faint, but I'll show you.
Oh, there's one of the X's right there.
Okay, it's a very, very tiny X,
There's one
but
right
we went
there.
around on the trim. So I basically want to say, though, as a preliminary warning, to fix this problem that we did, we put it down without seeing where the putty was and measuring it. I would highly recommend doing that first, because once you put that sheet down, like you could see, it's pretty stuck on there, and once you remove it, I didn't want to affect the putty. We just like lifted up the sheet metal just a little bit to see where it would land, but I would just recommend to do that first. Next time we won't make that mistake. These are just sheet metal screws. We opted to use 3/4 of an inch because it'll have a little bit more of a bite through the sheet metal, through our roof. And then you also want to make sure to put it on top of the screw head as well to make sure you don't have any water intrusion. You can stop recording.
Okay.
Okay, so we got the wrong drill bits. It just would refuse to go through the metal. So what I'd recommend is self-drilling screws. Before we just had sheet metal screws, but it was just refusing to go through our roof. I think that honestly, if you have fiberglass or metal roof, you'd probably be okay with just the regular sheet metal. But I mean, luckily we're right across from the Home Depot, so we were able to get a different type. But otherwise, we would have been here all day. It was damaged. It was actually grinding away at the screw and not the metal. So, you know, we got the right screw eventually. Okay, so we didn't know how to use a caulk gun, so basically we had to look it up. But this pin, once you cut that off the tip, it has like a foil inside of there that keeps it from going bad. And now we will able to actually be able to use the caulk gun. And we also have some paintbrushes, which is what the the RV lady suggested. We told her what we'd be doing, and she suggested to get yourself some brushes to help paint it on so it's not so bad looking. You'll also be able to do an even coat of this crap. So we'll be doing a thin bead of this, and then we're also going to be using more screws. Now, we'll be putting the preventative spray, like a Rust-Oleum, on the metal sheet of the roof, but we're gonna wait to do that. Not too long. We're doing that same day, but we want this to dry first. This is actually going pretty well. We'll also have more information on our blog about this. The main reason why is because of power, and then you also have more time to explain things in a blog, when on a YouTube video you only have like 5 minutes before people get bored of what you're saying. So you can apply this stuff pretty liberally too. You don't want to have a leak. Yeah, we got 3 bottles of this crap because we're also got to put in our oh
no.
Ah, shit. Okay. Well, this is a learning process. We're doing this together. So we're gonna put that in, and then we'll talk about it later. But for now, that'll be all. Thank you, all, me honey. Okay, so now we have completed our project.